What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out SpinFuel's Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the IPV4. So before I get into the video, I do want to give a huge shout out to Joel Aluz from Voltage Vape Shop, the shop that I work at. He let me borrow one of these things for a review to show you guys all the good stuff about this mod here. So I do want to give a huge shout out to Voltage Vape. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link in the description below. Before we go down to the close-up view, let's go ahead and go over some specs of this device. It's 510 threaded. It utilizes two high-amp 18650 batteries. It has a nice aluminum body to it. It does have temperature control. It is magnetic back cover, as you can see. This comes right out. A lot easier than the IPV3. Custom milled display screen with a flush fit to the outside of the box, so everything is nice and smooth. I'll show you more of that in the close-ups as well. It has dome style fire button, up and down buttons, so they are nice and beveled here. Really easy to feel, and it has a nice form factor to it. Not like any like the older buttons kind of were a little bit fiddly, and I've heard a lot of people complain about those. It does use the Yeehee SX330V4S chip. Now, Yeehee is coming out with a lot of really awesome chips lately. I know they just put one of the J-style chips in the SX Mini M class, which I think is a really great device. And I agree, this chip in here is really good as well. Very accurate with the temperature sensing and everything like that. It does have a spring-loaded atomizer connection pin, so spring-loaded pin in the 510. It has resistance reads from 0.1 ohms to 3.0 ohms. The reverse battery protection, battery low voltage protection, low resistance protection, temperature overheat protection, and output short circuit protection. So you're very, very safe when you use this device as far as all the different things that can go wrong as far as the atomizer and the battery reverse polarity and all that stuff. A few other things we do have to talk about later on in this video as far as the safety concerns to this mod, but we'll go over that later. For now, let's go down into the close-up view and take a better look at this thing.
Vape Dojo with Charlie Noble. We want to get a shout out to SpinFuel. Thanks a lot for supporting us, guys.
Alright guys, we are back, and now we are going to unbox this beauty. First we're going to take a quick look at the packaging itself. As you can see, a little bit more stylish than the IPV3 with a nice matte black box. A little bit of funky designs on here, that's pretty sweet. Nothing much to report as far as the sides go. Same Pioneer4You logo, and I got the silver version, as you can see here. Supposedly it's available in blue, red, and gold as well, but I have yet to see any of those pop up anywhere. I have seen the black one, which is neat as well. And on the bottom of the box it shows the package contents. It shows one IPV4, one USB cable, user manual, and it shows here charging cable, but that is actually not true. These do not come with a charging cable, and the gift box. So yeah, everything else pretty standard. It has a little bit of information here if you want to get in contact with the IPV people. Let's go ahead and open the box, and first thing you're going to see is the user manual. Fairly educational, pretty standard stuff except for how to actually get into the temperature control mode. I actually had to Google that. Maybe I'm just a dum-dum, but anyways, pretty standard stuff on here. I really wish they would have included a few more pictures. I really think that like the manuals that came with the K-Fun were really good because they had so many different graphics on there. And you could really see exactly what to do if you're having problems. Yeah, and it also has the warranty information in there as well. Let's go ahead and take the device out. It's a tight squeeze. And underneath you can see the little quality control pass here. Mine passed inspection apparently. And underneath, let's go ahead and lift this up. This is, again, a little bit of a pain to get out. We have our USB cable kind of just floating around in there, which in the IPV4 had its own box, but now they just kind of threw one in there. And there is plenty of room for a charging cable, you know. I would have paid an extra $5 for a charging cable if one was included in this set. However, onboard charging, in my opinion, isn't the greatest thing in the world. So let's get rid of that box. Let's take a look at the device itself. As you can see here, let me get a good close-up of this. That is supposed to be the charging port, which is a 9-volt charging port, and the LED indicator light for when it is charging. Now, I've heard these are wired in and they do work, but you have to buy the specific cable. If you buy anything but a 9-volt charging cable, it will not work, and you could potentially damage your device, so you got to be really careful when it comes to purchasing one. The IPV does make, or Pioneer4You does make a specific charging cable for it, so if you're in the market for one, make sure you spend the extra money and get one directly from them rather than trying to find one at your local electronics store or something like that. Here you can see the 510 pin. I'm going to go ahead and grab a screwdriver so I can show you how it's floating. So let's get a close-up of that actually. Let's see if you can pick it up on the camera. Yeah, there we go. So that pin is moving around in there, and don't have to adjust it any more than that. It self-adjusts to whatever atomizer you have on top, which is really convenient. This is the LCD screen. As you can see, very mirror finish. You can probably see the camera a little bit right now. But yeah, it's standard, you know, LCD screen, what you're used to when it comes to a Pioneer4You device. Your buttons are a little bit beveled, which is kind of nice. They feel really good to the touch, and they have a good response and good clickiness to them. And they don't really rattle around at all, which is a plus in my book. I really hate when things like that rattle around. Anyways, we have our plus minus buttons here for controlling the power levels, etc., which I'll show you more of that in just a second. And here we have the bottom of the device with the USB port for updates only. That's not a charging port. I've heard some people come in saying that they were told it was for charging, but no, this is not for charging. Only for USB updates, and as far as I know, I don't think there's anything available yet. But hopefully future iterations might improve some of the stuff on the screen or something like that. So keep an eye out for those as well. And there's the vent ports. If your batteries just so happen to vent, you will be safe. One thing that kind of bothers me is like these big ugly screws right here. I think they could have easily hidden them somehow with like a little cap or something like that on there. It just kind of takes away from the seamless kind of look to this overall otherwise flawless design. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just me. I'm gonna go ahead and open up this battery door, and this battery door, as you might be able to see considering it's black, you know, but yeah, this battery door is made out of plastic. Feels a bit cheap. Definitely can take some wear and tear, but as far as long term, I don't think it'll last the life of the mod itself. If I happen to drop this thing like I dropped my IPV4, that thing is going to be toast. I'll tell you that right now. And it does have some flex to it, but I wouldn't really stretch it too far. I don't know if it'll spring back, or if it gets loose, it'll just start coming off on its own. So be aware of that. Now, this is the top of the device. This is the bottom. The bottom two battery connections are spring-loaded. Let me see if I can get a good close-up on that. There we go. These are spring-loaded. So when you go to put your batteries in, you want to make sure you push down on one end, on the spring-loaded end when you put your battery in. So I'll do that again with the other one. Push down, push it in, and then release. That way you won't rip your battery wrappers when you put in your batteries. It's very important because I've seen a few people come back to my shop with just torn to shred battery wrappers from doing that without using the spring-loaded pins. Alright, so let's go ahead and load this thing up, and hopefully you can see the Pioneer4You logo on the splash screen with the IPV4. Okay, now the device is turned on. Obviously it says check atomizer, considering I have nothing on there currently. So I'm just going to go ahead and put on my Aspire Atlantis with the Vapor Shark coil and go through the menus with you guys. Alright, so basically a little bit different than the previous IPV3. 5 clicks to get into the menu, and as you can see, you just rotate by pressing the power button. Mode Joule or power. I'm going to keep it on Joule because I'm using the temperature sensing. Units Fahrenheit because I don't know the conversions to Celsius. 450 degrees Fahrenheit for temperature, and you can just raise and lower this, and this goes all the way up to, I believe it's 572 Fahrenheit. So there you go, 572 Fahrenheit. Not that I would ever use it that high. I really would stick around 450 for me personally. I mean, you guys might be a little bit different, so use at your own risk, whatnot. Exit, you can press either one of these buttons and it goes out of the menu. Obviously this is probably pretty difficult to see, and you can see my reflection in the screen right now. Hey. It's a little bit difficult to see, especially when the screen goes dark, and especially when you have light shining directly on it. But you can have your different power settings here, which are all customizable. Same memory functions as before, 5 different ones. It shows your battery life, your resistance of your coils, and voltage. And normally if you have it in power mode, it would show your power level here as far as wattage. But that's pretty much it. You know, you can use the down button here to go to adjust it in 0.1 increments, however much you want. Usually I stick around 40. This one is my preset for 50, so I'll use it at 40, and again press the power or fire button to lock it in. Once the screen goes dark, you know it's locked in. And that's pretty much it when it comes to this device. It's pretty simple operations, very similar to the IPV3. As far as any other stuff that I know about it, probably the same as everyone else. But I'm loving the tanks on this thing. Really very enjoyable vape. Don't get any dry hits, don't get any burnt hits, especially when the tank is completely empty. I did test this with a completely empty tank. The coil was still saturated, but I was just firing it and firing it and firing it, and it's just kept on going without giving me a dry hit. And you can really feel the temperature sensing kick in. And as far as the temperature itself, yes, it's very accurate as far as what other devices that I've tried, comparing them. The 450 degrees feels like it's 450 degrees and no more, no less. So that's all I really have to say about this in this close-up mode. I'll go over some more of my concerns and some things that I like about this in just a second. Alright guys, so we are back, and that was the close-up section of the video. Now we're on to some of my personal thoughts, some pros, some cons, and whether or not I would purchase this if I did not receive it for free. Now first of all, I want to go over some of my thoughts on this device. I've been loving this thing with the tank atomizers. Right now I've got it with the Aspire Atlantis V1 and the Vapor Shark temp control coils in here, and this thing absolutely works phenomenal. I have tried it with a sub-tank with the nickel coils. It works equally as good. I'm waiting to try the Arctic Tanks nickel coils. I will report back on those as soon as I get some in for myself and for review. But yeah, as far as the tank atomizers go with the nickel builds on them, loving it. Absolutely loving it. As far as an RDA with nickel wire, I really just cannot wrap my brain around the exact specifications or anything. I've watched a ton of videos, and I know what it's supposed to do when the coil is dry, but for some reason it's not working for me. Maybe I'm not setting the resistance right on the mod itself or something, and that's definitely no fault of the mod itself. It's probably just something I'm doing. But anyways, I'm going to try to get a nickel build working on an RDA so I can show you guys how I did it and how you can do it for yourself. As far as the device itself, it seems like a bit unfinished to me. I say that for a few reasons. One, because they didn't include the charging cable, which, as you saw in the close-ups, it does say that it comes with a charging cable on the box, and it also has the charging port here, but yet it doesn't come with a charging cable, and you have to use a very specific cable. Only a 9-volt charger will work. 12-volt can blow up your mod. A 5-volt won't work, and it has to be the specific charger, which IPV does have some available for sale, but they're a little bit difficult to find. As far as other things about this device, I just feel like it's kind of like a bigger version of the IPV Mini 2, and I have one right here for comparison. I mean, it even kind of has that slanted shoulder look here, which is not as extreme as the IPV Mini 2, but it just seems like they just took that frame and just kind of dragged it out and slapped the battery cover on the side, and that's how they made this device. I mean, looks wise, it looks alright. I think it's a little bit more attractive than the IPV3, but yet I feel like this was kind of just some device to hold the place until they came with the final design for the IPV3 Li, which is now out, which I hopefully will be getting one soon so I can report on that as well. But for this one, yeah, I mean, they don't supply the charging cable. It looks like a IPV Mini 2 frame, just extended. The mirrored finish on the screen, a lot of people complain about, and I can definitely see why, because I'm not a huge fan of it myself. It is a bit difficult to read in direct sunlight or anything like that. Even now, it's pretty dark in my room, and I still can't really see the screen too well. So yeah, I mean, just little things like that kind of bug the hell out of me when it comes to these types of devices, especially for the price range. I mean, you can get one online for around 80 bucks. Normally in a shop, I think we sell them for $110. But yeah, I mean, for the price you pay for one of these, you would feel like it would be a little bit more solid of a mod rather than just, a kind of a cheesy feeling. The battery door itself is a little bit weak feeling, and I feel like if I drop this thing it would break fairly easily. As far as convenience on it, yes, this is much more convenient than taking out the screws like the previous version. So that's about, my personal thoughts on this device. Some pros and some cons. I love the convenience of the battery door. That's my first pro, is this battery door. I love that you can just get into it like that, take your batteries out and put new ones in without having to go through anything with the screws or anything like that. That was a big pain in the ass with the IPV3. I love the power behind it. It's 100 watts, which is great for builds, any sort of build that you want to put on here. I'm able to put a pretty decent cloud chucking build on here and be able to have enough power to use it as well. And as far as the, temperature settings, everything like that, yeah, it works great. I have mine right now at 450 degrees at 40 joules with a 0.15 nickel coil, 2.5 volts, and it works great. I mean, vapor production is excellent. Can't complain. As far as the temperature of the vapor itself, it's a little bit cooler than normal, which I actually like that, because especially on mods like on my Arctic tank, it gets really hot. The vapor gets really hot, anywhere over like 75 watts on a 0.2 ohm coil. So for me, a nice cooler vape with a lot of vapor production is definitely a positive thing. No complaints about the 510 at all. Like, this thing, everything sits nice and flush on here. No complaints there. So maybe not enough to call it a major pro in my book, but I do like how they work this thing. I like it a little bit better than the Sigelis and stuff like that. What else? I mean, that's pretty much it as far as pros for me. Some cons. I did notice that, I was watching the Plumes of Hazard show a few weeks ago, and they were mentioning how a few of these mods decided to burn up on people because there's a metal receiving little thing in here where the screws into. That part right there can actually make contact with the board and short out the mod itself. I know Grim Green reposted a picture on Instagram of someone getting liquid into the charging port and the whole board is fries. So this, safety-wise, not a big fan of this device. As far as, everything as far as the temperature control, this is meant to be a more safer device for those people that are just getting into it. So that's kind of worrisome for me personally. I'm not a huge fan of the whole thing shorting out like that, and that is a bit more dangerous. Also, something to note as far as another con would go is make sure you use your batteries right. Like, you have to push it down on both of these batteries here, because those are the spring-loaded terminals on the bottom. So you push down on your battery before you take it out, and if you just rip it out by the ribbon, you're going to end up tearing up your battery wrappers. So just be a little bit more cautious and take the time to push down on the spring-loaded portion of the battery connectors before you take out your batteries, because otherwise you might have to either rewrap your batteries or buy a new set of batteries within the matter of maybe a month. So just use some caution with that as well. And another con is going to be how cheesy the battery door feels. Yes, it is more convenient, but it does have a little bit of a wiggle to it. You can probably hear it right now. And it just kind of feels a bit cheesy to me in the hand. I do like that it's slightly kind of rubbery feeling. It's not like uncomfortable to the hand, but it just doesn't feel like it should be a solid device. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just bugs me, you know what I mean? But other than that, that's about it for the cons. So, I mean, not too, crazy for or against this device. So whether or not I would purchase this if I did not receive it for free, probably not. I have my eyes set on the IPV4 Li. I think that's the device to go with right now. The jury's still out on it so far until I actually get one in for review. But until that point, I'm going to say, don't waste your money on the IPV4. I'd go with the IPV3 Li instead. If you're going to be spending over $100, save up a few more dollars and get the 165 watts with temper control and all that. And that battery door feels a lot better, I can tell you that right now from my experience just working at Voltage Vape Shop. So once again, big shout out to Voltage Vape Shop for letting me use this device for the purpose of this review. Thank you guys very much for watching. That about does it for this video. If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button down there, and if you feel like it, subscribe for more video content from me. Don't forget to check out www.spinfuel.com for lots more of my videos, as well as Smoke and Joey and Spinfuel videos. And as always, vape on.